Welcome to the Life After Sugar podcast. The podcast that's not just about sugar, but about your relationship with it and also with food and especially with yourself. So if you want to discover your life after sugar and hear inspiring stories from all kinds of people who also cut out sugar in their way, at their pace, for their own reasons, this is the podcast for you. Because when you take away the sugar, you can finally discover the real sweetness in your life. I'm your host, Netta Gorman, and seeing as this episode comes out on Mother's Day 2024, North American Mother's Day that is, I thought I'd do a quick episode about the influence that we mothers and parents in general, as well as grandparents, in fact all adults, can have on the next generation concerning sugar. So I'll be talking about how we can be role models for our children, our grandchildren, our students, and inspire everyone to start reducing sugar today. But first, I just wanted to tell you that if you're looking for some free resources about how to get rid of cravings, then I have plenty for you. First, download my 5 tips to get rid of cravings. And those 5 tips may not be what you think they are. So go to aftersugarclub.com and download your 5 tips today. And come check out the Life After Sugar Facebook page and subscribe to the Life After Sugar YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram account at My Life After Sugar, which is where you'll get all kinds of inspiration so that you can see that it's perfectly possible to live a happy and active life, even if you don't eat sugar. You can also check out my TikTok account at Netta_Life After Sugar. All right, so I want to talk about the influence that we can have as mothers and as parents and grandparents and as adults in general on the next generation where sugar is concerned. And I don't know if you remember, because it was right at the beginning of when I started this podcast, but on episode 6, I did an interview with my daughter Lily, who was 12 at the time. And she just turned 16 now. And of course, a 16-year-old doesn't want to be interviewed by her mum for a podcast, right? But I wanted to have a quick trip down memory lane to revisit some of the conversation that we had in episode 6. The first question I asked her was, what's it like living with a mummy who doesn't eat sugar? And it was so funny because, of course, we didn't prep this interview. And what she answered was that I'm more energetic and that I enjoy my food more and that I don't hide chocolate in my car anymore. And I know that I used to think that nobody would notice if I hid chocolate or brownies or some kind of sweet food in my car because I thought I'd found a great hiding place. But our kids are watching us 24/7, and they're much more interested in what we do than in what we say. And even when we don't think that they realize that we are sneaking food or hiding food, especially sugar, they're probably way more savvy than we give them credit for. And even if they don't actually see what we're doing with their own eyes, they can get that vibe that something's not quite right, that we're maybe trying to hide something, or that we have some kind of unhealthy relationship with our food or with our bodies. And just the fact that my 12-year-old daughter said that I don't hide food in the car anymore means that this is what she noticed. The hiding, the sneaking. And I promise you, 99% of the time, she wasn't even in the car when I was hiding my food. So how could she know? She knew. They know. And I'm so happy that I don't have to sneak food or hide food anymore, that I can be upfront with her, and that she can have a role model of a mum who doesn't need to sneak her food or pretend she's not eating sugar. And I think that helps her to trust me more, and as a ripple effect, to trust herself. And one other thing that my daughter Lily said in our little interview back on episode number 6 was that when she gets her Halloween candies, which, by the way, I don't ban because I don't impose being sugar-free on my daughter or on anyone else for that matter. Well, what she said about her Halloween candies is that she sorts them and eats like 10 of them, and then she says they stay there all year and she doesn't even eat them. And I asked her, well, is that because you're not allowed to eat them? And she said, no, I don't eat them because they're too sweet and I get bored of them. She just likes sorting them out into colours and types, eats a few, and then moves on. Can you believe that? From a child? And I swear it's not because she's not allowed sugar or that I force her to be sugar-free like I am. Not at all. She has candy at Halloween. She has a birthday cake if she wants one for her birthday, which she usually does. And by the way, I'm pretty good at decorating cakes, even if I don't eat them anymore. She has a bit, and then she says, okay, that's enough. And she stops. Now, I can't take that much credit for her behaviour, but I do take credit for being a role model. Not just for being a sugar-free role model, but for being the model of someone who doesn't need to turn to sugar for any type of emotional need, for celebration, or for any other reason. Plus, sugar is not prohibited in our house. And that in itself, in my own daughter anyway, is enough to take away the allure of sugar. Now, Lily was 7 when I stopped eating sugar, flour and sweeteners, so she was old enough to read, and she saw me reading labels. And now at the age of 16, she's like, Mom, will you stop analysing labels all the time? But I'm happy to report that as a teenager, she's now aware that real foods don't even have labels. But it's kind of become second nature for her to be aware, at the very least, of the ingredients in packaged products. And she also developed the ability to understand food labels pretty early on in life. So I'm kind of happy to have made her into a future smart consumer. And although she finds it a little bit cringe-worthy that I'm so public about being sugar-free, I think that secretly she's actually proud of me. I want to take a quick break to say that if this is your first time here, then welcome and thank you for listening to this podcast. And whether you're new or a regular and you haven't yet rated or reviewed this podcast, could I ask you to scroll down and tap on the stars to rate this podcast and also to write a short review to let me know how this podcast is helping you in your life after sugar. Just like this one that dates from April 2024 that gives Life After Sugar 5 stars. And I quote, I absolutely love this podcast. So much great information and I'm enjoying my new healthy lifestyle. So thank you, Netta. Your enthusiasm is addictive. And when you rate and review this podcast, not only does it encourage me to continue making new episodes, but it also helps to share this podcast and have more people see it so that we can help more people feel better and lose weight with less sugar. So again, thank you for rating and reviewing this podcast and for spreading the word about sugar. Okay, so how old do your kids need to be to start being sugar-free? Well, quite frankly, even if you don't have kids, I would say that the best time to start reducing sugar is now. But whether you have a newborn baby, a toddler, a young child, a teenager, or adult kids, or grandkids, if they see you being aware enough to reduce how much sugar you eat, then that in itself means that you're already being a positive role model. And if they can see that it's possible to celebrate, have parties, travel, make school lunches, and have treats that don't necessarily contain sugar, then they can see that there is an alternative to sugar, even if you, as the adult, don't necessarily always choose that alternative. In my experience, what's important is that the next generation has more options, or at least is aware that more options exist, because then they're far less likely to be held hostage by the processed foods industry and by the diet culture. Why? Because as parents, grandparents, guardians, just generally adults, if we make the next generation that much more aware about where sugar is hiding in processed food products, and also what the types of sugar are, and how sugar and flour affect the body and the brain and behavior, then that very awareness, in my humble opinion, is what will stand our kids and grandkids and future generations in good stead for making smart decisions where their food is concerned, as consumers and as citizens. And of course, we don't have to be perfect about it, and we certainly don't have to be perfect role models. In fact, I'm actually proud of being an imperfect role model and showing my child that I'm human and fallible, that I make mistakes, that I slip and slide, and that it's okay if she's imperfect too. That kind of takes the pressure off. So I guess what I'm saying as a mother is that I do the best I can. And even though I have my daughter's best interests at heart, sometimes I screw up. And you know what? She loves me anyway. And the same applies to sugar. If you have your best interests at heart and your children's or grandchildren's best interest at heart, then whatever actions you take to reduce sugar are part of that loving and caring approach. And I do realise that everything I said in this episode is easier said than done, which is why I created the 90-day program Freedom from Cravings Formula. It's a program that's specifically designed for women over 50 who want to get rid of cravings and live the long-term benefits of a sugar-free life sustainably. In the program, you'll get step-by-step guidance and customized support through the 5-step formula that I've developed to help you get control over cravings so that you can finally live your life with more energy and fit into your favorite clothes effortlessly and feel confident in your food choices so that you can ditch the shame and embarrassment that you feel every time your emotions make you slip or fall off the wagon, and so that you never feel like you're on some kind of a restrictive diet. If you're at the stage of your life where you're finally ready to look after yourself and be a role model for the next generation, let's chat. You can hop on a free clarity call with me at any time by going to aftersugarclub.com and clicking on the big green button schedule a clarity call. We'll have a quick 30-minute one-on-one chat to see if the Freedom from Cravings Formula 90-day program is a good fit for you. So go to aftersugarclub.com. Speak soon.
That's it for this week. Keep in touch and see you soon for another episode.